joining us now on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline, ESPN college football insider and expert, Trevor Matich, also a national champion. Happy Halloween, Trevor. What's your costume tonight?
I am going to go as nothing at all. Believe me, if I thought about dressing up as a creepy clown, but that's already been taken. So
that's
a
wise decision.
Unoriginal.
I wouldn't do that one, especially the past couple months.
Yeah, I'd take a baseball bat to the side of the head if I did that. I mean, imagine me, 6'5", 300 pounds, walking around on Halloween night all by myself on the streets dressed up as a creepy clown.
Yeah, with no kids.
I would last 3 minutes before the SWAT teams would descend.
For your safety, yes, please do not.
Good call.
Trevor Matich with us here, and we're going to talk football with you, Trevor, because that's what you specialize in. We want to know what % chance you give BYU to win all 4 games in November.
About 80% chance. I think the bookends in November are the tough ones. This game against Cincinnati, they put Gunnar Kiel back in at quarterback 2 games ago, and Kiel has the potential to be really effective. He's got an NFL arm. The question is, does he have a high school graduate head? Nothing personal, but he's had an interesting little odyssey as a college quarterback. But if he is focused, then he has the physical capabilities to be a real challenge for BYU's secondary. Even so, I think BYU's got a good chance to win that game. And then the rivalry game to close it out with Utah State, you never know how that game will work out. So I think BYU, if you can put a percent chance, I'd say 60-70%. But if they get past this one against Cincinnati, then they're on greased rails to that effect.
Yeah, Gunnar Kiel is the Cincinnati Jake Heaps. That's what I have to say about that. Let's ask you the Twitter question. What are you more excited for, football in November, and I think I know the answer, or the start of the BYU basketball season? And we discussed this. Not a very compelling November schedule per se for football, but a lot of winnable games. And then you have this exciting BYU basketball crew.
Listen, I love BYU basketball. I love the way they play. They play like church ball.
No defense?
Well, no, it's not that. They play with an edge. They play with an attitude. They play like they're angry at their opponent. And I've played enough church ball to know that it's not often it's not just a friendly way to work up a sweat and get a nice workout while you're fellowshipping with someone from another ward. No, man, we want to win that game. Especially if we're going to the same building and we run into each other, as we're coming and going between meetings. And so I just love the edge that BYU basketball plays with. Although I don't understand basketball very well just because of the actual ball, the basketball. Basketballs bounce funny. Straight up and down. I mean, how can you have a game with a silly ball like that? But they are fun to watch.
Trevor Matich of ESPN with us on BYU Sports Nation. If BYU football goes 8-4 in the regular season, what would that mean for Kalani Sitake and the program?
A great validation numerically. 8-4 with this schedule would be a phenomenal job, and it would give validation to the players that what the coaches are doing is actually working. I mean, the players believe in these coaches. They're playing hard for these coaches. If you add to that, though, an actual manifestation of a record like 8-4 against this schedule, then there's absolutely no question that what they're being asked to do works. And that's an important thing when you get a culture change where buy-in is a critical part of going forward. The most important thing that these guys have right now is that culture. When they play so hard for each other and so hard for their coaches, to have that kind of success validate that, then that turns into great things for the future. I mean, people tell me all the time, and they tweet me all the time, about individual plays or individual games, and BYU had so many close games, and all those things are important. They're disappointed with losses or with not being able to pass the ball better. All those things are important. But what's most important for BYU football right now is that establishment of the culture. And often it takes several years before you get full buy-in for a new coaching staff. BYU has that right now. And to add to that a potential for an 8-win season, and potentially 9 if they're able to win the bowl game, then that adds the cherry on top of the manifestation of success. Now, I think they're there anyway. I don't think they need to go 8 or 9 wins this year to have that. But if they do get there, I think it's just a tremendous bonus.
Yeah, there's kind of interior or internal validation, right? External would help, if you get 8 or 9 wins. And BYU's going to go to a bowl game. They're going to go to the Poinsettia Bowl with 2 more wins. What Mountain West Conference opponent would you like to see BYU play in that bowl game, Trevor?
Well, I'll tell you that the better the opponent, the better. You know, I mean, there's a theoretical chance they could get a rematch against Boise State, right? They could get San Diego State, which would be an interesting matchup because BYU is very good against the run, and Donnell Pumphrey would be a tremendous matchup. So, you know, there's Mountain West. It would be interesting to play an old-school Mountain West team. San Diego State would be fun just for the old days of the old WAC and the old Mountain West where BYU was there. But, you know, whichever one it is, they'll tell you they don't care. I'll tell you the one I would like to see is Boise because I'm big on avenging past losses, and I would love to erase that loss against Boise and pound them in a bowl game.
I wouldn't mind watching BYU play Boise State on a green grass football field as well.
Boise would
and
know
with
where to
Jamal
go.
Williams.
They'd probably go side to side instead of north and south. I mean, if Boise's on a green field, they're lost.
Let's have some more hypothetical fun here, Trevor. I feel like because of what BYU has done this season and the 4 losses they have by a combined 8 points, and they have some quality P5 wins, albeit those teams are somewhat down. If they can finish 9-4 with a win against maybe San Diego State or maybe Boise State, would 9-4 BYU be ranked at the end of the season?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I think there would be an inclination for the committee to give them credit because the committee is big on body of work and strength of schedule and game control and different metrics that show that you were competitive even in games that you lost. And so they'll look at 4 losses by BYU by a combined total of 8 points. And in a season where they've got new coaching staffs and new systems on both sides of the ball. And I think the committee would have an excuse to do that, to put them there. Now, in order to do that, you'd have to have help. You'd have to have other teams lose. And there are some teams right now that, you know, teams like Colorado that are unexpectedly there. USC is not ranked right now, but they could pop back up in there. So there are possibilities that other teams will kind of crowd them out. But I think the committee would give them a benefit of the doubt that the AP poll might not, because the committee would look at those 4 losses differently than the AP voters would, and it is the last committee poll that carries the most weight.
How much Tanner Mangum do you expect to see in November?
I'd like to see a bunch of them. As a matter of fact, I'd like to see a lot of the young guys in November, because right now the cake is basically baked. They know where they're going from a bowl standpoint. If they take care of business and win 2 more, it'd be nice to win a lot more than that. But part of building a program is getting the next generation ready to go, and I think rotating Tanner in there would be an important part of that. Because last year, you know, he was phenomenal, but last year he was basically winging it because he was fresh off a mission when he stepped into a different system and was still able to make a lot of fantastic plays. This system is not designed for the quarterback to necessarily go make fantastic plays. It's designed for the quarterback to throw to the right spot at the right time on rhythm. It's much like the Boise State passing offense was. I thought that was phenomenal early in the game. Now, BYU, with all those turnovers and takeaways and interceptions, I think put a crimp into what they were doing. But you saw at times when BYU's defense wasn't throwing a wrench into the mix, how effective a precision passing game could be with Brett Rippon, their quarterback, where he dropped back and let that thing fly on time, and before you even saw which receiver he was throwing to, you assumed it would be complete. Just drop, set, throw, drop, set, throw. It was fantastic. You compare that to how BYU's passing offense has been this year, which is drop, look around, see a guy, is he open? Yeah, drill it over to him. Hopefully we'll catch it. And that's something that's kind of to be expected in the first year of a system like this. But in order to get Tanner ready to go for next year in that kind of timing and that precision and those decisions, I think it would be important to work him in. That's nothing against Taysom Hill. That is what any program should do in a situation like this, in my opinion, which is make a priority of getting the next. Well, the first priority is winning the next game. That's the first priority. But the next priority is getting the next generation ready to go. And I think you look at Alabama as the best team in the nation, maybe ever, at getting that next generation ready. Alabama has a history of putting program-crushing defeats on name brand programs in those high-profile season openers. I mean, this current season, they just did it to USC, and USC took a month to recover. I think part of the reason is Alabama is so good at working the young guys in ways that don't compromise their ability to win games, so that early in the next season, those young guys are ready to go. And I think BYU, that'll be the second priority to winning the game at hand. And so I would like to see Tanner rotated in there. I don't think he can redshirt now, right, because he took a knee against Michigan State. If he still can redshirt and they can get that play out of there, then I think it would be better for him not to play just to get the year back. But if he can't redshirt, then I think that they need to work him in.
I think that them throwing him out there was a declaration of sorts, in addition to the physical, we're going to break the red shirt. And against UMass and Southern Utah and maybe even Utah State, I think we should expect some Tanner Mangum, especially in the second half at a minimum, right?
Yeah. And although I think BYU, I like the fact that they've been so loyal to Taysom Hill, I think from a player standpoint and from a coach's standpoint, because they're validating the effort that Taysom has given to the program. And that's another important thing. Players in locker rooms will look and see how coaches treat their friends. And players understand that sometimes guys that they love shouldn't be playing. They understand that. But they also like it when players that they love are validated. And Taysom Hill, I think, has been fantastic for BYU. And this coaching staff has been fantastic for Taysom Hill. And I think it's been a positive thing because, remember, winning the game in front of you is the most important thing. But even more important than that big picture is the culture that you set. And that's just the way that they've treated Taysom is one of the reasons I think that the players have bought into the coaches so fully. Now, that's not to say that they've given Taysom anything he did not deserve. But it is to say that I think that the players respect the way that they are being treated by the coaches. And it will not be any disrespect to Taysom Hill if Tanner Mangum goes in there and gets some meaningful playing time going forward. I'm not talking about mop-up time. I'm talking about while the game is still young, work him in for some series, because if it's mop-up time, it's a different issue. I think you get better quality reps for your backup quarterback if you're able to work him in the second quarter, third quarter, that kind of thing.
Trevor Matich of ESPN. Follow him at TMatich on the Twitter machine. Trevor, let's talk about the next game ahead for BYU a little bit more specifically. Cincinnati, 4-4, just like BYU, but the Cougars are rated much higher in the ESPN College Football Power Index, 35 compared to Cincinnati's 83. What do you think about the matchup at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati?
I think that BYU's got most every edge here. Cincinnati's defense, if you start there, aren't great at stopping the run. You know, they play in the American Conference, which is a good conference, but they're 53rd in the nation and only 6th in their own conference in rushing yards per play. And BYU, obviously, when they're cranked up, and if Jamal Williams is healthy coming out, BYU should be able to pound the ball on the ground and keep Gunnar Kiel off the field. The one big caveat is Gunnar Kiel. If he's able to get going with his arm, then that should make things very exciting. But that flip side of it, the fact that BYU should be able to open the game with a foundation of a powerful running game that has success, means that whatever Cincinnati does, BYU will be in a position to match it. Now, remember what BYU is so good at when their defense is on the field is takeaways. They are second in the nation with 21 takeaways. The only team with more, guess which team that is?
Alabama.
Close. It's that team up north, Utah. Utah has 23 takeaways. BYU has 21. And then when you combine takeaways and giveaways, turnover margin, BYU's third in the nation. The only two teams ahead of them are undefeated. So Washington and Western Michigan. So BYU on defense has been phenomenal at taking that ball away. And if the offense is able to grind out long drives, I expect Gunnar Kiel and that Cincinnati offense to press a little bit, and that'll just be a feast for BYU's defense to try to strip that ball out, intercept that ball. So I expect another 3 or 4 turnovers or takeaways from BYU's defense in this game, as long as BYU's running game can put pressure on the other side so that they think that they have to make big plays when Gunnar Kiel comes on the field.
And the health of Jamal Williams, certainly a question that will need to be answered this week as well. Let's finish with this. In the top 25, it's Alabama, Michigan, Clemson, and Washington in the top 4. Which of those teams, if any, won't make the college football playoff, in your opinion, Trevor?
Well, I think the most likely team to not make the playoff there is Michigan. Not because they're not fantastic. I've got them as my second-ranked team in the nation right now, but because they have to go to Columbus to play Ohio State. And Ohio State's been struggling recently. But if they kind of get their big bugaboo, which is deep passing, fixed when Michigan comes to town, I think Ohio State's got a good chance to knock them off. And that one loss would keep Michigan from making the playoff. It would keep them from winning their own conference. Although, keep this in mind, it's kind of funny that because Ohio State lost to Penn State, they have to hope that Michigan wins all their remaining games until they play Ohio State. Because if Michigan loses one game and then everybody wins out, then Ohio State and Penn State win out, Penn State will be the Big Ten East Division champion and go to the Big Ten championship game over Ohio State and Michigan. So let me say that again. If Michigan loses a game before playing Ohio State and then Ohio State beats them and Penn State and Ohio State win out, it is Penn State that will go to the Big Ten championship game over Ohio State. So the Buckeyes are in a weird position of rooting for Michigan, desperately rooting for Michigan, actually. So I think that's the most likely scenario.
Fantastic stuff, Trevor. We wish you a safe and happy Halloween. No clown costumes tonight, and don't eat too much candy.
No clown costumes. Although I'll tell you this, Jim Harbaugh, the coach of Michigan, revealed an amazing strategy for getting the most candy. It's the 2-costume strategy. You wear your first costume, you run. You don't walk, you run to all the neighborhood homes. Then you run home, drop off your bag, change costumes, and then hit them again. So
nice.
Yeah.
Innovative.
Yeah, that's Harbaugh for you.
That's fantastic stuff. Thanks for the time, Trevor.
All right, guys.